All right, so now let's talk about how to become a loan officer. What are the different types of loan officers out there? How loan officers get paid? Anything that anyone who's thinking about becoming a loan officer or just thinking about doing something different, they can come back to this and they can go, all right, this tells me everything I need to know.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first thing I would say is you got to kind of really look into it. A lot of people get into this industry. This goes for real estate as well. They're like, oh, my goodness, I'm watching Selling Sunshine or something like that or whatever that, all those shows are called about real estate. Like, I could just get into real estate. I'll make so much money and have so much time on my hand and all this stuff. And nah. Just nah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's more of a lifestyle. I mean, it's one of those things, and that kind of goes back to what I said is I'm going to be raw, I'm going to be real, I'm going to be me with everybody that I speak to, because at the end of the day, this job is kind of 24/7. You're always on call, always available. I mean, within reason, and we're blessed and lucky enough to have a good team around us. So if one of us takes a trip or is out of the country or in a different state, vacation, anything like that, we have people to fill in for us. But I think if you are looking to get into it, that is one thing I would just kind of think about is a lot of people kind of start in this industry as a whole, whether it be real estate, whether it be a loan officer, is kind of false promises of making all this money and having all the time in the world.
Right.
And it couldn't be further from the truth.
Right. Work-life balance, I mean, talking about that, it really is. It's a 24/7 job, right? Like, yeah, we give our family our time and stuff like that. But on the weekends, I mean, it might be 4 o'clock or 2 o'clock, and I get a call or a text that, hey, we want to put in an offer, right? And the good part about our job is we can send it right through our phone, right?
Yeah.
The bad part is if they're like, hey, I just came to you Saturday. Here's all my documentation. I want to put on an offer on this house, and they're all due tomorrow or today at 5, it's like, well, all right, I got to drop everything,
It's go time.
Yeah, got to come back and do what we got to do. A lot of times we take our laptops with us.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's always the case. I mean, you're always kind of have that thing on your side, but, and it makes it nice. I mean, what you were kind of saying earlier as well, how long you've been in it, I've been in since January of 2017. So seen a lot of ups and downs, a lot of craziness. March of 2020 hit. We all know what happened there. We were working home for a very long time.
Or relaxing at home.
Yeah.
For
some people, yes, exactly. But it gave us an opportunity to really hone in our home offices. So that is kind of a key to success, is that laptop's always plugged in my home office. If something pops up, and it's after dinner, after hours, weekend, something like that, walk down those basement steps, in the control room, getting things done. So, yeah, I mean, that is the first thing is, hey, if this is something that you want to get into, just do your research,
Yep.
It's a very rewarding career. It really does have no ceiling to it. You get out of it what you put into it, but in the same breath, it has no floor either.
Right, right.
You're truly going to get out what you put into it.
Right. And talking about that, I mean, let's be real with people. Talk about what people in the industry make. But before that, you really have to talk about the different types of loan officers that there are. Because there are guys like us, right? We are working for an independent company, right? And then you have people that work, for example, Rocket Mortgage or people like that they're at a call center. And their job is to just pick up the phone and they answer calls. And for the most part, they get like $100 to $300 per deal that closes. But
I think that's how they're structured too. Yeah. And I mean, like you said, same with kind of small banks, different things along those lines. You have a lot of 9-to-5ers. A lot of those, I can't be exact and sure what they get paid, but I know a lot of their structure is kind of a salary or hourly structure, and they might get a small commission override on, a certain amount of deals they close. Not a ton of incentive for them. 9-to-5, guys and gals that, hey, weekends they have off, different things along those lines.
Right. Right.
And in the same breath, a lot of those people at smaller banks and stuff like that, there are a lot of different types of loan officers. There's loan officers out there that don't even do mortgages and real estate transactions.
Right.
They do
Commercial.
personal, commercial, small business
Right.
loans, different things like that. I feel a lot of those smaller credit unions, banks, stuff like that, they kind of dabble in each of things. Get a lot of people doing home equity line of credits with
Right.
those type of
Right.
things, and smaller type of lines of credit and stuff along those
Right.
lines.
That's why it's really important when you're looking for a product to deal with someone who not necessarily just does that product, but does it so much that they know exactly what they're talking about, right? Because if I do, like, let's say I work for a bank and I'm doing a HELOC, and then I'm doing a refinance, and then I'm doing a purchase, then I'm gonna go do a commercial. Like, I'm never gonna be really well versed, right? Like, he'll know a little bit about everything, but you won't really ever know exactly about every single one of those things. That's why it's good when you have someone who can be like, yeah, this, and this, because this, and that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly. And, that's the thing too. You always hear about realtors and different people saying, hey, work with a local lender, work with a local lender, work with a local lender. Big thing they mean is no online lenders, different things like that. A lot of people, if you make an offer with an approval letter from a online lender, different things along those lines, realtors tend to shy away from that. Sellers tend to shy away from that as well. And the reason for it is they want to make sure that that loan officer did their due diligence. They've checked over all the documents. They feel good about that pre-approval that they're issuing, and they're not going to be, hey, real estate transactions are difficult. No matter which way you paint it, things pop up all the time. They want to make sure you got somebody that you can get a hold of when things start kind of getting
Right.
a little fuzzy there to
Right.
iron things out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that is a lot of lenders are set up as us, a correspondent lender. Like you said, we work for a independent company. And basically, just to touch on what that means, is we have everything in-house, our processing, our underwriting, our closing, all the way to funding the transaction. So it's all under one roof here in our beautiful Towson office, and we have a lot of control over that. If I have a question, I can go talk to our head underwriter right down the hall. Have any issues with, hey, we got to get this wire out and closing and different things like that, we have all the resources right here. And that's really what helps ensure with a local lender that things do go smooth, things do go well, because I'm not waiting for anything, always available, easy to talk to anyone I need within the company, a lot of resources and tools.
Right. So, I mean, basically, to sum it up, we have, the call center people. We have the big banks, right? Those people that are salaried, right? Then we have correspondent lenders like us, right? Then you have the fourth one, which is brokers. Those guys, they have their own shop going on, and they have these different banks that they will shop with. So for them, they go, okay, can I work with this bank? Let me check. And then it doesn't. All right, then they work, check with another one. So you have those that are very different, right? But when they say work with the local lender, they're talking about us or the broker, really.
Yeah, a lot of times brokers are local lenders as well. I know a lot of brokers that were correspondent lenders. The main difference between a broker and what we do, I feel like, is, like you said, they can, kind of take you with any lender that they want to go with. They have a lot of different options, a lot of different things like that, and they are typically just a one guy or gal shop running everything by themselves, and they're submitting it back to the lender. They're almost like the middleman in that whole transaction, whereas the lender that they're going to take you with is the one that makes the decisions, does everything we do, process, funds the loan, underwrites the loan, everything along those lines.
Then you have, while becoming a loan officer, right, you have a couple different options. You could become a loan officer, boom, you're a loan officer. Or you could become an assistant to a loan officer, right?
Yep.
And then you get your feet wet, right? You start learning everything. You learn their processes and everything like that. So there's not like one size fits all how you do something. It's just about what are you looking for? What part of your life are you in? And what can you, basically take a risk with, right? Because at this point, this is a business. You're running a business. Yes, you work for a company, but you're not getting paid, just for showing up. You actually have to do work. And to do work, that means get homes closed. So that's the risk in it, but here comes the reward. So how much do loan officers make? So you have, the call center guys.
Yeah.
They're making a couple $100 per deal. They're, then they get a small salary. They're probably making somewhere between like 35 and probably like 80 grand a year.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, hard to tell exactly, but I would probably assume
we haven't
around
worked
that.
for them, but from the information that we've gathered, something like that, right? Then you have the big banks. Those guys are salaried probably around the same thing. They're probably getting salary probably 45 to 70 or something like that, and then they get the small override. So they could probably be making anywhere from like 70 to 100 grand, maybe more, right? We don't know. Some companies do it differently, so that could change.
But the point is, a lot of them are salary structured, 9 to 5 type thing. A lot more stability or kind of relationship between the work and home type settings. Mm-hmm. But again, it's, a salary type position, 9 to 5 job.
Then you have the independent companies like us. And if you're a loan officer, you can make anywhere from 50 basis points to maybe, 300 if you're a broker or something like that per deal.
Sure, it's up there. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of like I was saying earlier. There really is no ceiling to this. You get out what you put in because we're mostly commissioned. But at the same time, there is no floor. You have no safety net. You don't have that salary to kind of say, one of those things that complacency is cancer. So if you're comfortable with that salary, it's, might not be the best. But at the same time, there is no ceiling either.
Right, and when I said something that some people might not know what it is, basis points. So how about we explain a little bit of what basis points are, because I know some of them probably won't even know, like, what? So what does that mean? Like, if you get paid 50 basis points or 300 basis points, how does that translate to dollars, right?
Exactly.
So if you have a $100,000 house, how much is 50 basis points?
$100,000 house, 50 basis points. Well, basically break it down on what a basis point is would be a percentage of an amount. They use basis points in a lot of different industries. It's not just mortgage. It's used in a lot of different things. But 50 basis points would be 0.5, so half of a percentage.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, what you touched on earlier, even as guys like us, and a lot of different sales positions, not just in this industry, but, out there everywhere, use basis points in a commission structure.
Right.
It's always at a differing amount and things like that. But the short, simple term, 1 basis point or 100 basis points would be 1%.
Right. So if you're making 100 basis points off of every deal, if it's a $100,000 deal, then it's $1,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you are a loan officer who's doing $500,000 a year or $500,000 a month, that's $5,000, right? If you're getting paid 100 basis points. Mm-hmm. And, and this is where it really is no ceiling, because we could go out there and do 2 to 3 loans a month, right? Maybe we're comfortable with that. Maybe our work-life balance isn't too bad. Or we're like, man, I want to reach for the moon, right? You could be doing 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 loans a month.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And you can make millions. But that's easier said than done, right? We have to be realistic. Like, how hard are you willing to work, right? And you're never going to get there by yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, like I said, no ceiling, no floor type thing, but you get out what you put into it. And there are people out there in this industry that, mortgages are life. That's all they do is produce, produce, produce. And, hey, if that's cool with them.
Yep. So, to kind of wrap it all up about becoming a loan officer, I think the last part is, how do you even get started?
So, a couple different ways. I mean, we kind of went over earlier how we got started, different things along those lines. And like you touched on, a lot of people kind of start off as loan officer assistants, something like that, just to kind of learn the ropes. That's actually how I got started in all this as well. But I would, reach out. If it's something you want to do, if it's something that you're interested in, give one of us a call. More than happy to have a chat, see what your expectations are, what we can provide as well and see if it's the right fit for you.
100%. So you can, basically you can reach out to companies directly, or you can go out there because we have to take a test, right?
Yeah.
You can go out there, you can take the test yourself, do it all yourself, and then go and call these companies and say, hey, I'm licensed. Yeah. I'm looking for a job, right? And I'd say when you're looking for a place, you should look for a place that you can see yourself in 5-10 years, right? Now things change, but you should also look for a place that you have the support, right? Someone or people who you can reach out to when you have questions, because there is going to be a lot of questions.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're like me, it's going to probably be every 5 minutes.
The kids got me on speed dial.
All right. So that's how you become a loan officer.
Yeah, a little bit about it.